All right, family, it's Tasha, Mama Bear Prepping. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel. You already know what time it is. Get your drink, pull up. I don't even have my drink. I done drank it. I didn't get me another one before I came in here to record this. So it is what it is. I'm a little parched, but I'm going to make it through, okay? So we are going to talk today about recession, how to prepare for recession, things you can do to get ahead of it because, baby, it's coming, okay? Things are not good for our country, okay, for our economy. If we're just on the brink, and to be honest, all the money that we've been spending, all those checks that we gave out to everybody and their mother over the last 2 years, that stuff is going to come back and rear its ugly head. And really the only way with all this debt and all these things, the only way you get through that or make that better in any capacity is a recession. And so a recession is going to come, but there's things you can do, right? You being somebody who prepares already sets the tone for already being ready for things that may happen. If you are preparing, maybe losing a job or getting laid off is not as hardcore for you and your family because you prepare and you've been you're stocked up. It's not such a heavy blow for your quality of life should, let's say, one of you guys lose your jobs, okay? So let's talk about really quick some things that you can expect with a recession. Like what happens during a recession? What are some things that can happen? Now there's variables to this, right? So there's extremes, some lower minor stuff that happens all the way to just super, super extreme. But I'm just going to kind of name some stuff off. So it's basically an economic crisis, right? That has to do with our stock market, our money, all of that good stuff. Unemployment is going to rise. Businesses are going to shutter, basically close, some of them for good. They'll never come back. You will have stocks will fall. Bank systems will fail. So really, really bad. If you have no bank systems, banks either close, never come back, or they just shutter the door and don't give you your money, okay? And you're not able to just go to the bank and get it or go to an ATM, okay? So bank systems failing and closing, higher foreclosures, so people losing their homes, right? Can't make the mortgage, can't, whatever, higher layoffs, bankruptcies, right? So you have this dynamic where you have this economic crisis and businesses can't stay open and they want to cut costs. And what happens is they cut costs, they cut either services, they cut people, right? Because they're trying to stay afloat during this time, okay? But what happens is the American people lose jobs, right? Lose their work. What happens if you can't work? You don't make money, which means you can't pay your bills, and you can't pay certain things like your car or your home, okay? And what happens is people lose those things, okay? Or people say, I'm just going to do a bankruptcy, okay? So you got to think about what are some creative ways and how can you prepare for this? So I've got 11 ways for you to prepare or to get ahead of a recession, things to just get your mind thinking that you could do possibly. I just want to do a disclaimer. I am not a financial expert whatsoever. There are some financial stuff in here, but it's not too deep, you guys. And just know that, okay? I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, okay? This is just my opinion. This is just a mama bear speaking her mind. That's it, okay? Take it for what it is. So first thing I have is earn extra cash, get your side hustle on. So the way you prepare is money is the game, right? We're talking about we're talking about money, stocks, bonds. So for you to get ahead of this, while you can now today to make as much money as you can, is important. Okay. So if you can get your side hustle on, do it. If you have the time and can do a side job and able to work that into your family dynamic, do it. Okay. Look for money and making money in any way, in any capacity you can right now while you can. Okay. And we're going to talk through inside here kind of what you're going to be doing with that extra money. Okay. Next thing I have is grow food. I just said a minute ago, if you prepare, then you're ready for a lot of things. As something as simple as losing a job. Not everybody is preparing for aliens to attack us, and that's why they're stacking food. There's a lot of normal things, you guys, and reasons why it's important for you to prepare and to stack food, okay? And so growing food is just as important. When those things happen, if you are growing your own food and able to put food on the table from your own two hands, something that you grew, that offsets that money that you're having to output and spend on groceries, okay? Because that's going to matter, because your budget is going to be probably way more reduced, right? You're going to be spending less money on a grocery bill or on groceries or buying things in general is going to go way lower. So grow food. Next thing I have is pay down debt. Now I have a question mark with this one, right? If you look at any expert or any financial person and they talk about recession and how do you prepare and whatever, all their lists say pay down debt, pay down debt, pay down debt. Yes, I think it's extremely important because again, we're talking about money to pay down your debt. And so because one, it's going to, your stress, we prepare because of quality of life. If a recession is happening, people are losing their jobs, businesses are closes, this, that, right? If your debt is paid off and you don't have those people down your throat trying to get their money from you, quality of life, peace of mind, because you've paid that down and you do not have that responsibility and that stress of owing all this money and being in all this debt, okay? However, today, if somebody asked me my honest opinion, Tasha, I only have so much money right now left over. What should I do with it right now? Should I pay down my debt or should I buy extra food, water, and meds for my family? I'm just going to keep it 100. If you're asking me today, I'm telling you to get food, water, and meds. Get it now, okay? To me, that is more vital and important now, today, than it is necessarily paying down debt. However, if you can do both, please do both, okay? But if somebody's like, no, I need a hard line answer, what is your opinion? Which one? Food, water, med, okay? Next thing I have is preserve food. Been talking a lot about this, right? Preserve food, preserve food. Get food, buy it in bulk, and then preserve it. Make it, store in a way that will make it last as long as possible in your pantries, okay? So preserve food. Next thing I have is go camping. I know that some people might be like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. She just said go camping for recession. I'm going to tell you what. When the power goes out, the people that don't stress, there's two people. There's people who are stressing like crazy, and then there's people that are just kind of chill, like going with the flow. Those going with the flow people have probably grown up going camping or have gone camping, even if it was glamping, right? They kind of know how to cook off grid, right? They know how to cook on a cook stove or over a fire, or, you know, they have their Gucci cooler with all their goodies and drinks and everything. They know how to light, right? They have the light, the lanterns. They have the, the tent with the, a way to stay warm, and you have your sleeping bags and all that stuff. And they have, how to do kind of an outdoor kitchen and eating outside, and they're used to that, okay, because they've been camping, right? It's not such a crazy thing to think about that, okay, there's no power, or hey, once it's dark, what are we going to do? That's camping. And so anybody who's gone camping before, grid down or lights out is not that extreme, okay? They know, okay, go get the things for the light and all this stuff. Now, people that struggle are people that have never done that, never gone outdoors, never camped, never lit a fire, never did that stuff, right? So therefore it's foreign to them and they don't know how to do it. So, going camping means something. Even if you don't want to spend the money and you don't want to go camping out in the wilderness, get the tent, get that stuff, pop it up in your backyard, light that fire pit, say to yourself, you're going to make 3 meals off of that fire pit. You're going to make your breakfast, you're going to have your, your lunch and your dinner, and just cook out there. When it gets dark, take your lanterns out, right? Think about, okay, you guys are going to stay outside. How are you going to stay warm? What do you need? What type of weather is that? Do you need some sort of tarps on top of that? Where's your outside area? Where's your little kitchen area? Just have a fun camping weekend in your backyard, and you'll be surprised what you learn, okay? And then it's not that hard later. Next thing I have is increase your emergency fund. So obviously now's the time while you can get ahead, if you can. I understand if you don't have the extra money to do this, but now's the time to increase your emergency fund. If you don't have an emergency fund, you need to get one. You need to start one, a couple dollars at a time, whatever the extra is, throw it in an envelope, okay? But you need to, it's very important to increase. The way you get ahead of a recession is increase that emergency fund. Again, quality of life, so that stuff happens, you're gonna be okay because you've prepared. You have that extra cash, right? You've prepared and have certain items and certain things that maybe you can't find anymore because businesses are closing or they're cutting back what they're gonna offer, and now you can't get things anymore, okay? So all of that stuff matters to preparing, okay? Next thing I have is meet a neighbor. Again, people might be like, what does that have to do with recession? Networking, talking to people, that stuff could matter. It could matter for a job, okay? Let's say you get laid off and then you need a job. It could matter for preparedness in general, right? Grid down, whatever happens, right? Your neighbors and knowing your neighbors and then possibly having your back. You just never know what you're gonna learn by talking to a neighbor, okay? So talk to a neighbor. Just say hi and see where it goes from there. People naturally like to talk, and a lot of times with our neighbors, all it takes is a hello or a hi or how are you doing? And they'll tell you everything that's going on. And sometimes they'll tell you about the other neighbors and you don't even have to meet the other neighbors, okay? So have those conversations. You don't have to share information. You don't have to share stuff. Just say hello. Be kind. It's not that hard. It's like a lost skill set to just be able to talk to somebody and say hello and just check on them and ask how are they doing. And you might be surprised the answer that you get back and how that could overall help hardcore tough time situations. Okay. Next thing I have is continue to stack food, water, meds. Talk about it all the time. Food, water, meds, food, water, meds. I can't stress this enough. Again, quality of life. If you have these things, then when something happens and you're able to provide that stuff for yourself, then you're going to be okay. Next thing I have is start cooking at home more. So if you're a family that does a lot of eating out, does a lot of restaurants, has food delivered, that type of thing, and I'm not here to bag on anybody. We eat fast food in this house, clearly, okay? But be a little bit more deliberate with cooking if you know that you are a family that's not cooking as much. Start teaching your children how to cook. Start making meals at home because that's going to be cheaper. You're not going to possibly be able to afford all this going out and eating out, or those places close, or whatever the case may be. And what you don't want to do is all of a sudden you're trying to learn how to cook and you can't get certain things, or whatever the case is, okay? Learn how to cook. When you talk about Great Depression and recession, things like that, you're going to be on a limited budget or a smaller budget. And so you know, the food that you make is going to be important. Not these fancy 14 ingredient meals, but basic food, right? Start cooking basic foods. Figure out the one pot meals that your family likes and make those. Make them and freeze them now. Get ahead of it. Or start making them now. Start making crock pot meals and Instapot meals and things like that. Figure out what your family likes and start practicing and cooking at home, okay? And then next thing I have is get your cash system started, right? If you're not a person who typically keeps cash, you need to get a little bit more comfortable doing that. You need to have cash at home. You need to start adding to that cash, not only the emergency fund that I talked about earlier, but just in general. If those banks go and you're cut off from your money, you need to be able to still function and buy things that you might need to buy. Now, the more prepared you are, then yes, the less things that maybe you need to go out and buy. But let's say you still need to try to get gas to get to work. You still need to get things, right? And so you're going to need cash possibly to be able to continue to do those things. If it goes so bad to where the bank systems are closed and your money, you're cut off from your money. And so that's a bad day. But if you've prepared and you have cash at home, but figure out what that means. Where is that hidden at? Where is that at? Who knows about it, right? There's a lot of creative ways. I'm sure you can Google, 50 ways to hide money in your home, okay? you know, but there's easy ways that nobody will ever find. You know, you can put cash money in a baggie and bury it in the backyard somewhere. Pick a flower, bury it under that flower, okay? And you can do a little bit at a time. Do, you know, 1,000 at a time, and do different areas, okay? Not even in your house. So you could do a whole, thieves could come in, search the whole house, tear it apart, and your money would still be safe. Figure out what your cash system is going to look like, where you're going to hide it at, you know, smaller bills. Figure it out now what you're going to do, okay? And then the last thing I have is get yourself a recession-proof type of job. There's certain jobs that aren't going to make it through a recession, right? There's certain jobs that people are going to get laid off easily. Like, hey, right off the top, this business wants money, and these people are going right away. If you have a trade or a skill set that is still needed, even in hard times, then it will make it much easier for you to, one, your ability to keep that job, even during a laid off type situation, so that you can continue to provide for your family. Okay, so think about that. I'm not saying totally switch up your job, switch up your career, but just think about that, because, you know, just ask yourself the question: am I in a job that is not going to make it through a recession? That nobody's going to be, you know, buying ice cream cones, and my job, you know, at Baskin Robbins is not gonna, I'm not going to make it through that, whatever the case may be. Okay. Maybe you're a nurse, maybe you're some sort of position that you will always need you. Okay. We'll always need that position. And even when times are tough, those people will still have a job. Okay. Military, for example, there's different things. I'm not telling you in any of those as ideas of what to do, but trades, skill sets that will go on, because that thing needs to go on. Okay. Even when people are losing their jobs, businesses are closing or shutting down or firing people. So hopefully, again, I'm not a financial expert by any means, but hopefully this gave you an idea of some different things that you can do to get ahead of recession. It's coming, baby. It's coming. And so right now, it's how do you get ahead of that? How do you prepare? If you're preparing in general across the board, trust me, you're preparing for this. And then maybe you just tweak the smaller things or add to them. Maybe you already prepare and you already have an emergency fund, or you already have cash set aside for that type of scenario, but maybe you just increase those as a way to get ahead of, you know, the recession, the next recession. Okay. Recessions happen all the time, you guys. So you have to just figure out, what can you do today to get ahead of that, to put your families with the best foot forward and increase your quality of life going through that situation, and how it may or may not affect you or affect your friends and family around you, that you, maybe it's not directly, but you're feeling it because of your family and friends who are now reaching out to you for help, not because they know you are a prepper possibly, but just because they're reaching out to anybody for help because they are struggling during this time. Okay. So I'd love to hear the comments. Super excited. And I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Take care. Bye.